Join the Cougar Collective today, your home base for all NIL opportunities, connecting student athletes, fans, and business owners. Join the 1890 Club for as little as $18.90. You can also make a one-time donation. And if you're a business, you can collaborate your brand. Also, drink the Old Crimson Legendary Lager brewed by Pike Brewing. Sales benefit the Cougar Collective. Visit cougarcollective.org. Go Cougs! Welcome into another edition of Cougs Corner. It's brought to you by the Cougar Collective, your home base for NIL opportunities, connecting student athletes and business owners. Also with fans, you can join the 1890 Club for as little as $18.90 a month, the most accessible route to supporting Cougar NIL growth. You can also make a one-time donation. If you are a business, you can collaborate your brand. You can drink above my, let's see, right behind me, the Old Crimson Legendary Lager. Throw a few of those down. It's brewed by Pike Brewing. Sales benefit the Cougar Collective. Also brought to you by Flat Stick Pub. Cougar owned and operated 6 amazing locations across the state. Kirkland, Pioneer Square, South Lake Union, Bellingham, Redmond, and Spokane. Visit flatstickpub.com for more information. Well, normally we've been doing football, but you know what? We're starting to transition a little basketball. And joining us for Cougs Corner, here at pucksports.com is head coach David Riley of the Washington State basketball program. Coach Riley, how are you?
I'm doing great. Excited for the season.
Yeah. Well, what's it been like to get from the time you were hired to now? Like a whirlwind? Has it slowed down for you?
Man, it's been a hectic offseason for sure. And typically nowadays it's going to be hectic in the spring, no matter what. And with the turnover, the summers are even more important to where you can kind of get guys acclimated and building some chemistry. And then shoot, we're on semesters, so we start school early August, and we've been rolling ever since. So I think the guys have really embraced trying to just catch up and make up for lost time. That we got to build chemistry, understand the fundamentals of the program, and I think the guys have done a great job. And just excited to go beat up on someone else now.
Have you had it's that sounds like a lot. I mean, have you had a second to kind of catch your breath, slow down just a tad?
Me and my wife will always go out to Europe, and we'll get a little bit of recruiting and a little bit of vacation in. So we got a little bit of that in early August, which is nice.
Oh, wait a minute. If you can mix in the recruiting, can you write that off then?
You know what?
That's a pro move.
I wasn't able to. I might have to look into that now.
Where did you guys go?
We went up to Finland, and there was the European Championships were up there, and then Greece was where the other championships were, and got to do some sightseeing in between on those ones too.
Now, was she a basketball fan before she met you?
Not at all. That and still she loves the team. She loves the people side of it, the relationship side of it, but I'm not sure the basketball game. She's probably talking a little bit more than watching.
All right. Tell us about the team. You kind of touched on it a little bit there. I want to get into the Spokane game that's coming up. It's going to be fun for Cougar fans to be a part of. We got great information on that one. The season starts coming up on Monday, so that's going to be cool. To see where you guys are at as a basketball program. But again, there was a lot of influx, right, of new players coming with you from Eastern Washington. Let's get caught up on, if you can, for us and for Cougar fans that are watching and listening. Give us an update. Who came over from Eastern Washington to join you?
Yeah, so we've got 4 guys this year that came over with me from Eastern Washington. Technically 5 signed. Casey Jones will be here in a couple of years. He's on a mission. But Cedric Coward came over, played for me for 2 years at Eastern Washington, played at Willamette University, Division III school his freshman year, had a heck of a rise each of the last few years, and has put himself on the map with some NBA teams, and just a Swiss Army knife, 6'6", can do a little bit of everything, play 1 through 4. So he's been great. Ethan Price, another guy he played for me all 3 years at Eastern Washington. 6'10", versatile, point forward, whatever you want to call him. Dan Erickstrip is another guy, transferred from a D2 school after his freshman year, and came and played for me for 2 years at Eastern Washington, and now is over here. Very similar to Ethan.
Mm-hmm.
Can shoot it, 6'10", And so those guys are all seniors, and then Lawan Watts is the lone underclassman that came with me. So he redshirted 1 year at Eastern and played last year and was the freshman of the year in the Big Sky. So actually, we've got Lawan was the Big Sky freshman of the year that last year. Ethan was the Big Sky freshman of the year 3 years ago. Dane was the freshman of the year in his D2 conference. Cedric was the freshman of the year in his D3 conference. And Nate Calmise was freshman of the year at Lamar. So I got 5 former freshmen of the year. That just popped in my head. I didn't even think about that. So that's kind of cool.
What's the makeup of the guys? Like, what's the kind of the DNA ethos of the basketball team?
I think we got a hardworking, and I think the best way to describe it was a bunch of guys that have a chip on their shoulder. Like you can kind of tell even from the Eastern guys, right? Like guy that played D3, guy that played D2, guy that didn't have a scholarship offer coming out of high school. A lot of guys that maybe were overlooked and have a really, really big reason to kind of show the world that they're not going to fold or any adversity that hits them, they're going to be ready for it because they've had to go through a lot to get here.
Yeah. A lot has been made of some of these guys. We're going to get to Watts here in a second, one of the guys, and you've got other players that are holdovers from the basketball team. Cedric Coward, though, 6'6", 206 pounds. I mean, we kind of went through, quickly the guys, but just kind of a scouting report. What fans, again, who haven't been able to see the basketball team yet, right? What are fans going to get with Cedric Coward?
I was talking about it the other day. Like his greatest attribute is his heart. He's got the 7'1" wingspan. He can post you up. He can shoot it from 3. I mean, he shot high 30s. He's shooting really well, really well this summer and off season. But his motor is crazy. He averaged about 7-8 rebounds a game last year for us, and he'll come up with big blocks, big steals. He'll dive on the floor, and just a overall winner, hard worker, gym rat.
Yeah, nice. What about Lawan Watts? I mean, you look at this guy. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, when you do that bus game, what you watch guys get off the bus, and you're like, oh, Jesus. Like, This guy gets off the bus, and you're like, oh, Jesus, man. This guy he looks like the real deal.
Yeah, no, he's a special athlete, and another guy that's just come a long way. He was definitely under-recruited out of high school, came to us, had to redshirt just to get his body right and understand some of the parts of the system. And for him to go off a redshirt year and go win freshman of the year and put up the numbers he did. And he's another guy that just worked his tail off. He was like originally his freshman year, if he weren't to redshirt, the only position he could have played was the undersized 5. And like now I'm comfortable with him being 1 point guard, 2, 3, 4. And that just shows his physical ability. If he's that strong at 6'6" that he can play 5 man, but he's been really, really good at the guard, coming off ball screens, making threes now. So very similar to Cedric, Swiss Army knife.
Is that what you want? I mean, in a perfect world, I mean, every team is different, right? I mean, year in and year out. But, you've got guys and a style of play that you probably like. Is that style of to have 5 guys on the floor that really can be at times interchangeable out there?
For sure. I think the real need is to have 3. We call them blurs. Like, are they 2, 3, 4? We don't really know. Now we've got a little more this year because I think Ethan and Dane kind of fit that mold too. They're like skilled guard 5s. But we've had success with a lot of different people in this system. We've had success with tiny guards and big guards. We've had success with skilled bigs and power bigs. And so the beauty of it is it's very simple and you can kind of morph it to your personnel.
Yeah.
But yeah, we need some versatile guys, and it's really important to have at least 3 on the floor.
What was it? I mean, anytime there's change like this, right? You bring in new guys with existing guys that are here, and you look at like Parker Garrett's, and you look at Isaiah Watts. There's always like this melding of players, right? There's the last year's regime, and they were recruited by so many different. You bring in a new coach, he brings in his new players. That melting of the two, how has that gone for you?
It's been great, and I think it was the biggest piece is nothing that I did. It's the guys understanding the importance of it from the jump. That's who they are. They understand what winning basketball is and how important the chemistry is. So like Isaiah and Parker welcomed everyone with open arms. They were excited about people coming in. our Eastern guys were good, especially early on, like just helping people learn the system and learn the terminology. And if I'm getting on someone, kind of talking to them about the why and helping them through it. And I think they did a great job. And then we got a bunch of guys that have played pretty good ball, like Calmis and Indy Okafor and Rihars Vavers. Like those three have played high level college basketball and came from pretty good teams, and so they've brought their own little mark onto it. And I think it's just been a melting pot of guys accepting and kind of trying to learn from each other.
Style of play. What is it going to look like this year?
Well, we're going to share the ball. We're going to play fast. And I think the biggest thing is the ball's going to be, we want the ball zipping around offensively. Last year we were top 10 in the country in assists. So far this fall, our assist rate's been about the same as it was last year. So that's encouraging. We shoot a decent amount of threes, and we got a lot of shooters out there. I think Kyle's team's shot a fair amount of threes as well. So it's not going to be too different, but the way we get to those threes will be a little different. And I think the other pieces we're going to be tough. Like, we have a gritty team. I talked about that chip on our shoulder with our guys and kind of the underdog mentality. And so I just think, like, together we're going to play fast and we're going to be gritty.
David, it might be simplistic to say this, but is it a European touch to it?
Yeah, like that's like stylistically for sure. Like, it's very read based. You have to be able to think the game a little bit and play off reads, but it's also like allows the players to be creative. If you can understand the structure and you get a half step on someone or an advantage, we just want to create an advantage early and then play off that. And it's very European, especially with the ball screen stuff. But it doesn't look good if you have selfish dudes. If you have selfish guys and you create that advantage, they're going to try to go score it on that first advantage. And it takes time to understand what that looks like and how to still be aggressive while also start trying to pass the ball. And our guys are learning it, but like that's where we've done it. I think our assistants and our coaching staff did a good job recruiting unselfish guys that fit this, and they're really trying to play for each other within that.
Orchestrated freelance, would that be a structured freelance, maybe a way to describe it?
I like that, the structured freelance. The way I would like the most eloquent way I've heard it described was like, a football team or a team that runs a bunch of sets, and we're going to get this guy, this shot right here at this time. It's like a symphony. Like, it's very organized. The violins go in here, the cello goes in here, and it's like doon, doon, doon. For us, we're trying to play jazz. Like, we're going to give you the key to play in and let these guys go play and be creative within that structure.
Dan Hurley, you brought up football for a second. It just got me thinking of this. I don't know if you saw this quote. Dan Hurley talked about how in the offseason, before they made their national championship run, he had actually watched film of the San Francisco 49ers and was watching film of all the pre-snap motions and sets that they ran to window dressing. Right? It's the same play, but they're going to run it out of different sets. They're going to make it look the same. They're going to shift. They're going to motion. And he actually took plays, not the football plays, but the concept of it, and applied it to the basketball floor. I don't know if you saw that. Have you ever done anything like that?
I know exactly the quote you're talking about.
Yeah.
And our staff had a big conversation about it, actually.
Did you? Yeah.
No, we try to do that. Like, it's been something that my old boss, Jim Hayford, was big on. He called it a poker face. Like, every set should look similar to start off, and you don't know where we're going to be in. You don't know what's coming, and then we can flow into a pin down or a stagger or different actions. And UConn's the best at it. Like, what they did last year with their playbook was really, really impressive. And when he said that quote, it really made sense, and you could see how it happened that way.
Yeah. It was when he said it initially, it caught me off guard. But then when he described it, I was like, oh, you know what? Now that it makes perfect sense, because I mean, you hear about the same sports, right? Whether it's football or basketball, it's a copycat league. I think it's interesting when coaches can kind of reach out to the different sports and pull something away, and even not only just, David, to the different sports, but the different level of the sport, and take something out of that and apply it to your team. There's
so many different areas you can do that. Like, we we call our end of game play Raven because my brother coaches with the Ravens, and we
Oh,
got
that's
a little
right.
football pass we're trying to run a route on, and I got some help from him. We had a assistant a while back. There's the fencing class right outside of our offices, and so we were watching them warm up, and they do a really interesting warm up where they're having to be on their toes, but they still have to be aggressive. And I don't know anything about fencing, but I just seen how they have to backpedal and be aggressive. And we wouldn't kind of talk to the teacher and put part of that in our warm up. Like there's some cool stuff that all these other sports are doing, and you can try to blend it in a little bit to make things fun for the guys.
You guys got a really cool event. I touched on in the beginning, but coming up on November 21st, 6:30, you guys are going to be taking on Eastern Washington at the Spokane Arena. Cougar Collective, which, is a sign behind me. You know how important the
Yes.
Cougar Collective and all collectives are, and all NILs now, especially in today's college athletics. They end up getting, and students will end up getting a piece of the gate. So here's the deal, Cougs. The more tickets that you sell for the game, the more money it goes back into the collective, which ultimately the more money goes back into the student athletes. I mean, just this new era of what we're in college athletics. Some don't want to embrace it and they get out. Others, this is the way it is, and this is how you have to embrace it, and this is the future of college athletics. But we hear from athletes all the time, David. I want to hear from a coach on it, and why a collective, and specifically the Cougar Collective, is so important for these student athletes, and then obviously so important for your basketball team.
Man, well, first of all, just the Spokane game is going to be really, really fun. We got a couple in there, but like the first one versus Eastern Washington, should be a fun one for the community. And it's a big one for us because you're absolutely right. Some of the proceeds go to the collective, and that's the heart of a program at this point. You have to get players to win games, and these players, they got to be compensated to some level, and that's just the world we live in at this point. And I think that the people who run the Cougar Collective and the way it's been run has been really, really impressive to me. A bunch of guys who care about the university, about athletics, and about the players. And I think the one thing that we're doing a little different probably than most schools is I think the collective has done a great job of actually being in their lives. And if they, help them out with different things that they might need on campus or housing and these different things that they're actually part of their lives, and not just cutting them a check so they can go do whatever, but there's part of that, but it's mostly just making sure they're supported, making sure they're getting what they need. And if we're going to have a successful program, we need continuity, and we need the collective we need everyone to support the collective so we can actually keep these guys. And when they're going to have success, we want to make sure we can build on that. And that's the biggest thing for me.
Yeah. And then the game coming up November 21st, it's going to be up there at Spokane Arena, taking on Eastern Washington. And again, go to the Cougars, go to WSUCougars.com. You'll get the tickets there. More information, probably just go to the Spokane Arena. And again, proceeds of that gate do go to the Cougar Collective. And then I'm told in conjunction with Tom Sherry, who's a local weather guy, it's Tom's Turkey Drive, there's going to be this competition, a charity fundraiser that players are going to be stationed around local grocery stores, assisting people with checkout processes and giving away turkeys. I'm told that there might be a competition between yourself and Munson over there at Eastern Washington. Any confirmation on that yet?
There we go.
You might got to get roped into that, David.
Hey, I was talking to our staff the other day. Like, I think Munson has been great. I didn't really know him before he got the job at Eastern Washington, and their staff. Like, I've had a chance to meet these guys and talk to them, and they are great people, great coaching staff. But in the back of my mind is I want to get ticket sales up for this game, so I got to figure out something I can start talking some smack and get a little WWE promotion going. So maybe I can start talking smack on Munson about the turkeys, and we can get a little competitiveness going.
You got to do it. Again, November 21st, Cougars taking on Eastern up there in Spokane. Yeah, it should be fun though. It should be a fun game, and it's fun that you guys are playing them. And it's I like when all the local schools in this state play each other. It's what's cool about the agreement with you guys in Oregon State, a part of the the Pac-12 now, and that agreement with the WCC is that I like the fact that you're playing Gonzaga. I mean, I think it's cool. It's a great series that was on and off, and it wasn't consistently played, but now at least in the near future it will be, and it will obviously with them joining the conference. What were your thoughts on when you heard the news, not only that you would play them and have this agreement with the WCC, but that they were going to join the conference full time in a couple of years?
No, I think it's what makes college basketball great. Like the rivalries that happen naturally. Like there's Gonzaga, the UW rivalry. It's just all this stuff is mostly geographic when it comes down to it. And I think the new conference realignments really hurt that. And I think what we've done here with the new conference in the Pac-12 is very exciting because there's a bunch of great West Coast teams that we can play against. And I think I was always frustrated at Eastern Washington when teams wouldn't play us that were in the area. I thought it was really good for the community. I thought it was a no-brainer. It should happen. And so when I got the job here at Washington State, I wanted to make sure that we're going to be able to play any of these local teams in the Northwest and make sure that we're showing what we got against them.
Yeah. And what is it going to be like in terms of the challenges and going up against them and not only just them, but the WCC in general? I mean, do you have a familiarity with these teams that you're about to take on?
Not necessarily from playing against them too much, but they are teams that I've really studied. Like the Gonzaga team has been, over the last 10 years, probably the best college basketball program in the country. And so there's a lot to learn from. I've always been close with their assistants and tried to learn from them. And so I've watched them enough, but same thing with St. Mary's, Oregon State I've always followed just because of the history with my family. And there's enough familiarity there where we can, I think we'll be ready to go.
Yeah. How excited are you about this season? I mean, it's a step up for you. It's a step up for your kids that you brought over. There's always a new excitement to any basketball season, but for you as a competitor to take this next challenge in your career as a coach.
I'm excited about it. I think that's the beauty of being a coach, is that you get to go compete. Yeah. And I've had the luxury of being at Eastern Washington for 13 years and kind of knowing what I was getting myself into every single year. And now it's all about the unknown. And there's I was at that WCC media day, and it was some of those coaches don't know who I am, and it's like, all right, like put a little chip on my shoulder too, that we can get these guys ready for us.
Hey, David, when you saw former Wazoo coach at Virginia, Tony Bennett, step down a few weeks ago, and he cited, hey, this changing landscape, and for some it's not for them. Did you understand where he's coming from? I mean, it's a little different. The ages, you're probably, I would assume at your age, more equipped to kind of handle this. But I would also assume at the same time that some of the things that he brought up, I would assume the concerns that you would probably share as well.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some issues, and I can totally see where he's coming from. I think that I've been blessed to where I've only been a head coach in this era, and it's just what I know and what I'm used to. So I'm a little bit, I guess, just used to it, I guess. But it's something's got to change. Like as far as just the calendar for coaches right now, it's crazy. There's zero off time.
Right.
And as far as the players kind of having that continuity, it's a professional model at this point where the players are getting paid, but there's zero accountability for some of these people that are in the background, and there's some great agents, there's some great people that are advising, and there's some people that are taking advantage of it. And I think there needs to be a little bit more regulation. And I know there will be. We have great leadership in the NCAA and all these, like it'll come, but it's just a lot. It's a lot right now. Yeah,
I can imagine. It's a lot on your plate. For fans who would love to know the expectations of this season, you probably have your own internal expectations. You probably want to keep those internal. But for fans, though, what should they expect from the David Riley-led Washington State Cougar basketball team this year?
I think by the end of the year, we should be a team that's in the NCAA tournament. That's the talent that we have. We are going to be inconsistent to start. That's just the nature of having, I think, 12 new players that weren't here at Washington State last year. And our practice has been some really, really good highs and some low lows, and we just got to make sure we're getting a little bit steadier every single day. And I just think we have great character, and the guys will figure it out. So stick with us. Get the momentum in Beasley going so we're not inconsistent at home, and it's going to be a fun year where we're going to play our butts off for you.
Go check them out. Coming up November 21st. Get ahead of it. You got plenty of time to get tickets. Cougs taking on Eastern Washington, Spokane Arena. Proceeds of the gate will benefit the Cougar Collective. In fact, if you want to donate to the Cougar Collective right now, whether it's joining the 1890 Club or making a one-time donation, that QR code that is, at least for the people watching, that is on your screen, you can just click there on your phone. It's going to take you right to the Cougar Collective donation page, and you can make a one-time donation. You can, again, join the 1890 Club. And as always, you can go purchase the Old Crimson Legendary Lager. Proceeds from that one go benefit the Cougar Collective there as well. But again, those tickets, get in, get loud. You know, there's a ton of alumni, obviously, that live on the west side, but there's also a ton that live in that Spokane area. And maybe you don't want to drive down the hour and a half to go watch them in Pullman. It's right in your backyard in Spokane. So if you are available, go support the Cougs by going to the game and purchasing tickets November 21st against Eastern Washington. You're supporting the Cougar Collective as well. David, appreciate the time. Thank you for doing it. Best of luck this season. Hopefully we talk to you soon, and go Cougs.
Go Cougs. Thank you.
Yeah, there he is, David Riley. Again, all brought to you by the Cougar Collective, cougarcollective.org. Also, Flat Stick Pub, another edition of Cougs Corner in the books. Check it out on YouTube. Listen to it at Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. And, of course, up at pucksports.com. If it's fun you desire, it's fun you're going to get at Flat Stick Pub. It doesn't matter what the occasion is, whether it's date night, guys night, ladies night, or large group event, Flat Stick Pub's got you covered. They have 6 great locations across the Pacific Northwest, from Pioneer Square to Kirkland, South Lake Union, Spokane, Bellingham, and Redmond. All locations offer the best pub experience in Washington. 2 rules at Flat Stick Pub: drink local and have fun. Pretty simple. So if you like to have fun, love local beer, and great tasting food, make Flat Stick Pub your next spot. Visit them at flatstickpub.com.